Welcome to the Planting Wildflowers podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Leonardis. I'm an entrepreneur, wife, mom, and stepmom. I'm super interested in people and perspectives, and I love how a good conversation can leave you feeling empowered. Sometimes even pique your curiosity to learn and grow. Mostly though, I love how really listening to one another opens up limitless opportunities for that beautiful sense of connection and community that we all love. Thanks for tuning in. Let's be inspired. Hi, everyone. It's Rebecca Leonardis. Welcome to the Planting Wildflowers podcast. I'm so glad to be back with you today because I have my friend with me, someone who I would describe as the total package. My friend Meaghan Terzis is with us today, and we're in for a juicy conversation. What I mean by the total package is this. Megs is super brilliant, super beautiful, ridiculously funny, caring, kind, and very generous with all of her gifts. She's that girl that when you think who would uplift me in this situation, her face is one of those faces that will come to mind right away. So if you haven't had the luxury of meeting Meaghan yet, this introduction to her today is going to inspire you and leave you wanting more of her. So stay tuned till the end because we will definitely share ways that you can stay in touch with Meaghan. She has a lot of things to be able to offer to you. Meaghan, it is such a joy to have you here. Let me tell the listeners just a little bit about you. First of all, Meaghan's a lifestyle coach. She's also a doTERRA Blue Diamond leader. We'll explain a little bit about what that means in just a moment. She's also a business mentor, and she loves empowering women through fitness, essential oils, and healthy living. She's an international fitness and cover model. She's a certified personal trainer, and she's a proud mother of two of the most gorgeous kids you can imagine. Meaghan, it is a true joy to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome, welcome.
Oh my goodness. It is such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. And I have to say, I'm like blushing. That introduction, my head just got bigger. So thank you. That was so beautiful. And yes, it's just such an honor to be here. And I love that we get to have some really fun conversations today.
We do. We were just saying before we went live here together how it's really nice that in a time where we can't really spend a lot of physical time with our friends, that at least we can hang out on podcasts together. We can interview, we can have a really, really good chat. And I think that's the beauty of you joining us here at Planting Wildflowers is you and I are already friends. So the conversation is going to feel lighter. It's going to feel, because I know things about you. We've had an opportunity to sit in on conversations before and go deep on some topics that are really relevant to us as women. And I just enjoy that privileged seat of watching you rise to the success that you're at right now. So before I get into asking you a whole bunch of questions so that the audience can understand you better, why don't you, in your own words, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm a mom of two. And I usually say I'm a mom of two little ones. They're not little anymore. My daughter's going to be 13. And it's how did that happen? How do I have almost a teenager? My son is going to be 10. And so we're kind of at this whole new stage with kids, and it's fun and it's exciting. And I've got these two little ones that, well, they're not really little, but they're my friends, and we get to do things and hang out in different, different capacities that we were when they were babies and toddlers. And, it's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy the stage that my kids are at right now. So that's been great. My husband and I have been married for almost 15 years this year, which is crazy.
Wow.
And he's a dentist here in London. And fun fact is I actually went to school for dental assisting. And that's how I met my hubby. So I definitely have a passion for teeth. I worked in the dental industry for many years with my husband, and he's got a practice here in London, and we live in London, Ontario. But my true passion is fitness and health and essential oils, and really helping to inspire women to take ownership of their health and to really realize that we are in control. And I really want to help people to take that control back, especially in a time that we're in right now where, we're needing our health more than ever. And so it's been a really fun journey of, navigating through this health and wellness space, and really kind of coming into my own on what can I bring to the table? How can I help inspire people? And what are some of the things that, I can do to really uplift someone or inspire and motivate. And so, that kind of sums me up a little bit.
Yeah. And I think I love, first of all, I love that you comment on how your life took a real pivot. I mean, you started out in the world of dentistry, and obviously that led to you to some really wonderful things, including your amazing husband, Bill. And I love the fact that your career now has positioned you to be super supportive of women. First of all, wherever they're at, right? Providing inspiration to them wherever they're at, and leading them down the road to better health and wellness. This is a key gift that you have. There's no question about it. My curiosity lies with this, though. How did you transition from the life of being a dental hygienist or being in the world of dentistry and moving into the world of fitness, the world of doTERRA? Like you've graced the covers of many, many fitness magazines. I've seen you on billboards around town. I believe I even saw you on a bus once upon a time. You've been in a lot of places. So how does that happen? Can you take us down that road a little bit?
Absolutely. Growing up, I was always someone that was super active, into sports, super athletic. So I played soccer and volleyball and basketball, and I loved, being on a team. I was a huge team player, and I'll tell you right now, I was never the best player. I was for basketball, I actually really sucked at basketball, but I was a really good bench warmer, and I was a really good cheerleader, and I loved being part of a team. And so I really loved just team sports and just being part of something. And when I was about 19, I had an injury playing soccer, and I blew out my knee, and it really kind of stopped me playing some of these sports because it involved pivoting and my knee couldn't handle it. So my parents bought me a gym membership, and I really took to the gym, and I started weight training, and I started, running, and I really fell in love with taking care of myself using strength training and, the gym. And then, I remember meeting this woman, and this kind of like, I'm kind of veering, but I remember meeting this woman at the gym, and she was about the age that I am now, and she had 2 children. And I remember meeting her and just going up to her and saying, like, you are incredible. Like, and I remember asking, like, how old are you? And like asking her these questions. And she just inspired me to know that, like, it doesn't matter your age, you can take care of yourself. And to this day, this woman and I are still friends.
Wow.
Still someone that I look up to. And she inspired me. She inspired me to realize that no matter what your age, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in, you can take ownership of your health, and you can help look like train to look a certain way or feel a certain way. And she just was like this vision of health to me. And I remember, and to this day, like I said, we're still friends. She lives in California now, but we still message each other, and I just adore her. And she's just someone that really inspired me at a really young age. I was probably like 19, 20 when I met her. And anyways, what kind of led me into more of getting into the fitness industry was, so I took to the gym, and a personal trainer came up to me and was like, Megs, do you have any interest in doing a fitness competition? And I was like, I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds like fun. Sure. And so I had no idea I kind of went in blind. I had no idea what I was doing. But it was fun. and I enjoyed it. And I was also like, oh, okay, now I know what this is about. And I know all the things that I would do differently. And then fast forward, I ended up, it was kind of around the time where Bill and I had met, and, you know, we had a really, we got married pretty quickly. And then next thing you know, I'm pregnant with my first child. And so even though I was still exercising and working out, and I had that one show kind of under my belt, I knew that after I had my first baby that I wanted to dive more into competing. And so about 6 months post baby, I stepped back on stage and I placed first at one of my fitness shows, 6 months post baby. And it just became like this light bulb for me. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I really want to help inspire new moms to know that there is body after baby. I mean, I felt completely lost after I had my first child. I felt like, you know, my body was not, I didn't feel sexy. I didn't feel like me. And you know, with the right motivation and just really knowing what I really wanted, I was able to get that back and feel like me again. And so I started to compete. I did many provincial shows here in Ontario, winning and also placing top 5, which then led me to the Canadian Nationals. And I actually competed at 2 Canadian National shows. And I actually got to the largest fitness show in the world, which is the Arnold's, or the largest in North America at least. And I got to compete on that stage. And from that, I had sponsorships with like All Max Nutrition and Nova Form and Reebok. I worked with Good Life. I worked with gyms throughout Toronto. So I was being hired for all of these opportunities to get published. I was reached out to, I was contacted by Oxygen magazine, and I was featured in their magazine shortly after I had my first show, and then connected with the photographers and started to network with people. And I think, you know, it was just like one door, doors kept opening. But I also had to, you know, nothing just came to me. I had to work for where I got to. I had many doors shut in my face, but, you know, it was with my persistence that I was like, okay, well, I want to get that sponsorship, and I want to get featured, and I want a cover of a magazine. And I got that. I've done over 13 international covers. And to this day, I still will be contacted by magazines to write or to be featured. And so there was lots of really cool opportunities that came out of this fitness industry and the fitness modeling industry. And I was in it for, you know, a good 10 years. And to this day, I mean, I just actually had a publication come out just a few months ago. So I'm still kind of have my foot in the door there, but I mean, it's not my number one priority. It's something that I do for fun, and that, you know, it's just fun to do. So that kind of took me into, yes, I knew how to work out. I knew how to, you know, eat right. But about 7 years ago, I actually had a health scare, and I had a ruptured appendix, and I got really, really sick, and I was hospitalized for a good month. And, you know, my kids at the time were 2 and 5, and my whole life flipped upside down. And this is when essential oils were introduced to me at this point in my life. And it was kind of the aha moment. The light bulb went off. It was that moment where I realized, oh my goodness, our lives are short, they're precious, they're valuable, and they can be taken away from us so quickly. And it really made me realize, not to take anything for granted, but also to realize that, you know, there's more to our health and our wellness than just the eating right and the exercising. There was so many other factors, from reducing the toxic load, what we're putting on our skin, what we're using in our home, like all of those things. And not only that, but our self-care, and, you know, our sleeping habits. And so it just became super clear to me. These oils were my missing puzzle piece. And when I mean, my good friend, a mutual friend of ours, Anne, she introduced me to the oils, and the way that she shared them with me was just so perfect. It was coming at me from a need-want position of, you have this health concern, let's address it. And it was it was just, you know, the oils were presented to me in such a beautiful way that I had no idea that even doTERRA was a network marketing company. I just thought these were like one of my best friends sharing something super special with me. And I started using the oils in my home and taking away hydrocortisone creams, you know, for my son. And it really helped with my recovery. And then, you know, my husband, who is super skeptical on everything. He fell in love with them, and, On Guard and oregano. And so all of, we just had these aha moments with our oils. And then about 8 months later, the business opportunity was presented. And I remember, and my husband, like, I never saw myself in sales. I never saw myself, like, at the time, I actually just had gotten my personal training certificate because my kids were kind of at that age where they were, going to head to school, and I was looking for something to do. And I thought it was, helping women with their maybe their weight goals, or body image, like those types of things. But then I realized really quickly, especially with doTERRA, that it's not just about the way you look, it's how you feel. And it's how these tools that, that were just introduced to me how they've helped me significantly. How can I help others? And so it became like I was causing a disservice by not sharing them. And so when the business was presented to myself, I saw the opportunity, and I thought I could make an impact, and I can create something and do something really, really cool with this. And it leads me here to 6 years later, where I've, been sharing these oils and have built an incredible team and have grown a lot as a person. And, I could go on and on about how these last 6 years has tremendously impacted my life, just by these tiny little bottles that offer so much hope.
You yourself have created just such a wave of impact. I mean, I have the privilege of being partnered with you and seeing what you and your team are up to, and enjoying how you take what you've learned from the fitness industry and apply it directly to what you're continuously learning through the doTERRA business opportunity. Plus, on top of all of that, the innate skills you have of connecting with people. I don't want to miss an opportunity to share with the listeners. You mentioned that your husband, Bill, was skeptical, and we smiled at each other at that, because we know that, I mean, he is completely on board with everything that you do, especially now. And I want to come back to the thing that you always share with us about Bill's perspective on how doTERRA specifically transformed you. So I'm going to come back to that in just a moment, but I want to go back to just this memory that I have of you. And I think I've shared this with you before, but I can remember it being, I think maybe it was my first major doTERRA event. It was the annual convention, and you were there also. And we were sitting side by side listening to somebody awesome on the stage speaking. And you were asking a lot of questions about me and my business and my team and things like that. And I remember thinking, this woman there's nothing she can't do, because you're very, very outwardly beautiful. And then when people have the opportunity to speak with you, excuse me, they uncover this layer that might have been unexpected. You have the intimidation factor, I'm sure, for a lot of women can naturally, and I'm speaking generally. I don't want to pigeonhole every woman out there, because I know that we're all very, very different, but I am certain that there are some women that are not approaching you because of your outward beauty. And then these conversations that they have with you reveal something so deep and even more lovely than what they've experienced on the outside. I remember thinking, this woman she will be the speaker on the stage. She will be the person who has reach. And you've been the speaker on the stage many times since that year. And I wanted to share that memory with you, because it always sits with me. And I remember just always looking right into your eyes and thinking, there is nothing she can't do. So in our listeners having this privilege to hear you today, what I know will happen is they're going to look you up. They're going to look at those cover images of you, but they're going to pair it with what they're hearing from you right now.
Mm.
And we're going to reveal a little bit more about you as our conversation goes on, but I felt like that was the proper space for me to share that memory with you. And before I go on, let's talk about Bill for a second. He's nowhere near. He can't hear us, right?
Oh, well,
Let's
first,
talk
before
about
we do that, I want to say thank you because I remember that time at convention. Like that was my first convention. And I remember sitting with you and I think they had just like, there was like a recognition. And I remember just bawling my eyes out. Cause I mean, when you go to these events, they're so powerful and it's like all of a sudden, like the veils lifted up and you're like, you know what the mission is, you know what you're there to do. And
yeah.
I remember sitting with you and having that moment with you. And I remember it as well. So that's really
It was
cool. Thank you
beautiful.
for sharing that.
Yeah, of course, of course. So, all right, let's talk about Bill while he's not listening. Tell us from a woman who has built a business that includes doTERRA and having someone, a spouse who may have been slightly on the skeptical side of things in the beginning, tell us what his position is on your business these days and specifically what doTERRA means to him as it relates to you.
Yeah. So Bill's, he's wonderful. He's so supportive. And, he's that person that, if you ask Bill, what is it that you love about doTERRA? Well, he loves the oils, but he won't say the oils. Uh, Financially, at the rank that we're at, and it's so beautiful and so abundant, but he won't say the money or the rank. If you ask Bill what he loves about doTERRA, he'll always say the person that Meghan's become because I have grown so much. And I think, this type of business and industry, you work a lot on yourself and you all of a sudden, you might not see yourself as a leader, but you're kind of thrown into a leadership position.
Mhm.
And you have to embrace it. And, and it was something that, I remember having those conversations like, how do I do this? I'm not a leader. And having that kind of self-doubt and then realizing, but wait a second, I am. And I think that's one thing with me is I've always, I see where this is going. And in order for me to grow, I have to step into that role. And so for me, it's just been such an incredible journey. And Bill has been there every step of the way. Yeah, he was a bit skeptical at the beginning when it came to the oils because he was just like, I don't know what these things are. He did, but as we started using them and as he started seeing that they worked, this is where his medical side comes out. And he's like, well, doing his research and on PubMed and he's doing all this stuff. And all of a sudden, now he gives me a full list of oils that he wants that month for his loyalty rewards program orders. So, he became a big believer very, very quickly. And Bill's actually had the opportunity to record videos and do some specific things for doTERRA. Just from his research and his expertise, which is really cool. And he's enjoyed that. In terms of like, I think the biggest thing that Bill offers when it comes to my business is just support. Like he's so supportive if I'm off teaching a class or if I'm doing a Zoom class or, he's always there helping with the kids and, why we have such a great successful marriage. We have great communication. And I think ultimately what it comes down to with having a supportive spouse in what you're doing is it comes down to communication. And I think that's one thing that Bill and I thrive in is our communication and just being very open and honest. And if you have a goal, you have to share that with your spouse. And you also want to find out what their goals are, right? So it's how we can, best support each other. And so this business, even though it's my business, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for his support. He doesn't go out and teach and enroll people. But he offers so much love and support. And he's a numbers guy. So he does love looking at, the back office and the back end where he sees numbers and where he sees those things kind of, he keeps track of all those things. But other than that, I mean, I think the support is the biggest thing.
Yeah, you guys have a beautiful partnership going on. That is for sure. What happens when, building a business and having the success that you've had is tremendous, and you've had success on many different levels. But can you give us an idea of what your experience has been like when either family or friends are not supporting you in the way you thought they would? We've mentioned support several times now, and it's really vital.
Mhm.
And for some people, not receiving the support that they thought they could count on can really cripple their growth or their progression. I wonder what it's been like for you if you've had family or friends not be as supportive as you might have thought they would be.
Yeah, for the most part, my closest family and friends have been extremely supportive. The people that might have doubted or not been supportive, I hate to say it, but they're really not part of my life anymore. Like it was just a very clear sign to be like, all right, there's a season for many friendships or acquaintances, and I don't have time for people that can't be supportive. And I'm not going to try to convince someone or try to salvage something when, if I have to work that hard to do that and help them if they can't be happy for me. So I can say, I did have one situation where someone, a family member hasn't been the most supportive, and we still, because they're family, we still have a relationship. I just had to distance myself, if that makes sense, and just kind of step away. And you know what? The relationship's totally fine now, but I just had to create boundaries. And I think like very clear boundaries. And, just not be around that energy. So I think, it can be really hard, especially if it's someone really close to you. And like I said, I've gone through that, but at the end of the day, you have to go for fight for your dreams, and you have to fight for what you believe in your heart feels good. And no one's going to squash you. And if they're going to squash you, they're not worth being in your life.
Megan, that's so, so good. Okay, so setting really clear boundaries, as difficult as that is, that's really a takeaway tip because it's so important to protect your own personal energy, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And this is where social media can kind of become the devil, right? Because, as much as, especially in our industry, we do use a lot of social media, and, we put ourselves out there a lot of the time. And, there's certain things that we see and they could trigger us. And so I also know too, if there's certain things that trigger me and there's certain things that I'm feeling like, ugh, like it just gives me that, okay, like almost like that anxiety, that pit in my stomach. I have to learn, like, you have to learn to unfollow that person. Or
Mm.
you can mute them so that you're not necessarily unfollowing them, but you can do certain things because we all have triggers. We all have things that can affect us, but we have to do our best to protect the energy, protect us so that we're not negatively affected. Because I know how that can feel. I know that one post that is directed towards you, that can, now you see that and then it throws off your entire day. It's
Yeah.
not worth it. And I just think that it's important for us to really know it's okay to unfollow someone or block them or whatever it may be, because you're protecting you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it's so true. As women in particular, we could have 20 very, very positive things happen in our day. And that one negative thing, that one thing that caused us to think negatively or uh, offer us a little bit of self-doubt, that's the thing that sticks out in our mind, not the 20 positives, but the one negative thing. It's the thing that we put on repeat in our mind. And I love the advice that you're sharing here because no one is free from this. You can have all kinds of success in so many different ways in your life, and you are not exempt from this type of experience. And you lead me right into what I would love to talk about next. I have, in the past year, I have become very, very immersed in mental wellness and emotional well-being. This has become something that I didn't want to become immersed in. It's something that found me. So I have spent a lot of time asking people, how do you take care of your mental wellness? How do you nurture your emotional well-being? So from someone like yourself who has built a career and has led a lifestyle of health and wellness, how can you or what do you do to ensure that not only your physical well-being is maintained, but what are you doing to take care of your spiritual self, your emotional self, your mental well-being?
Yeah, I love this. And you know what? This is something that I have really kind of taken a deeper dive. I created a fitness program called Own Your Health back in the
Mhm.
summer, you know, with COVID and everything. I decided to really take on this. I don't want to say it was a project, but it was like something that people were asking me for so many years. And it was just something where I felt the calling to put it together. And one of the areas, so I mean, we focus on three main pillars: fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle. And I think lifestyle is so big, and it's one of the things that most people tend to neglect. And we talk about sleep, and we talk about self-care. And one of the things that I really encourage these women in this program to do is to be selfish, because we can't pour from an empty cup. And so it's kind of like when you're on an airplane and the oxygen masks come down, you always put your own mask on first before assisting others. And so for me, if I don't have my oxygen mask on, I'm a hot mess. So I need to make sure that I have, you know, me in control, because once I'm in control, I'm a better mom, I'm a better wife. I just function better. And so, I mean, I am part of the 5:30 a.m. club. I get up super early. I work out super early. I think moving, like, again, like you said, I know that this is more mental, but for me, having that physical movement daily is so important for my mental health. And so I work out first thing in the morning. If I don't get my workout in the morning, I tend to be thinking about it all day long. Like, oh, why didn't I work out? Or like, when can I squeeze it in? So it just takes that ease for me. There's no guessing. It's just like, okay, that's when I get it done. I also like love personal development too. And so listening to something that's uplifting or funny is really important to me. But again, I think, you know, coming back to my own mental health, I think it's doing the things that make me feel good. And that is, you know, maybe a couple times a week, I take a detox bath. And I never took baths before. Like, I mean, showered, yes, but I was never like a soak in the tub. I was like, who has time for that? Like, who does that? And it wasn't until this past year, like when 2020 hit, I started taking more baths. And I can honestly say, like, it's one thing that I really look forward to. And I put on like spa music, or I put on a beautiful meditation. And I've learned how to meditate, which is, you know, something I never did before. So I feel like 2020 has definitely, you know, opened up my eyes to some really cool self-care techniques and things that I do. And I even have my daughter listening to like nighttime meditations with me, and we'll listen to like a 5 to 10 minute one before bed. And so she's understanding how to meditate, and how to not even meditate, but just how to be quiet, and how to be still, and how to, you know, think about what we're thinking about, and really process those feelings and those emotions. I also, it's important for us to talk. And again, this is where like communication is huge. Like my husband and I, every night we have so many good conversations, and, you know, we don't just throw ourselves in front of the television, we talk. And same thing with my kids. Like we really encourage conversations. How are you feeling? What are some of the things that are bothering you? How can we make it better? And so for me, conversations are so good for my mental health, because if you just sit there and let it bottle up, right? So there's so many things that we can do. I mean, we've been getting outside. I mean, I am not a winter person. Like I I am a, you know, let's head to down south and sit on the beach with margarita. I am not a go skiing or skating person. I mean, as much as I would love, you know, I love like that whole kind of snow bunny kind of look, but it's just I love the fashion behind it, you know, the cute toques in the jackets. But I'm really not one to go outside. But I will say this year, I really do love like a really, really cold day, and going for like a really quick brisk walk to like fill my lungs and just breathe in fresh air. I love nature and fresh air recently. Not that I never did before, but I have more appreciation for it. And I think that's really something that's kind of, you know, there's so many things that happened in 2020 that really I just have more appreciation for and more awareness of. But those are some of the things that I do for, you know, I brain dump. Before bed, I like get everything, all my thoughts out on paper, because otherwise I can't fall asleep, you know, like it's one of those things. So I think it's really just putting some practices into place when it comes to your mental health and figuring out what works.
Love it. You just like checked all the boxes for me. You're talking my language. I love all of these. And you used a word that it's become one of my favorite words, and that is the word ease. Anything that inspires that feeling of ease within you is something that is meant for you to do. So it's outside, taking in the freshness of the outdoors. Do that. If it's journaling, brain dumping, if it's the conversation that you mentioned with your family, that's an opportunity, whether we recognize it or not. If you're not practicing this already, that is a way to digest your day. You are communicating, yes, but you're also allowing yourself to move through whatever it is that you encounter throughout your own day. You're literally digesting it, much like your actual digestive system does. Your emotions are being digested through that conversation. So I think that that's tremendous. And the idea of stillness. Not enough of us are giving enough credit to this concept of being still. We up until we're going to talk about 2020 because man, that's a hot topic lately. This idea of stillness is one of the best things I believe that have come out of the year. We have always given ourselves these badges of honor for working more hours and staying up late and tiring ourselves out, like putting ourselves in a literal state of exhaustion to accomplish whatever our goals are. And now we have all started to realize that in order to go further or go faster, you have to slow down. Like that is the ticket. It's the magic. So there are some really great takeaways coming out of what most of us would label, and it'll go down in the history books, I'm sure, as a challenging year. So Meaghan, let's stay on this just for a minute. I mean, you shared so much of what you have taken away from this past year, but can you share with us a little bit more about what 2020 has opened up to you that might have been, that you could maybe label as a beautiful surprise?
Yeah, I think that 2020 has definitely been a year of learning. It's been a growth year for me, to be honest. It was a big growth year for me. Learning how to pivot in my business, taking action, but also just spending a lot of time with the people I love the most, and that's my family. Mm-hmm. And like I said, having good conversations, and, there was just taking better care of me. I remember when we first kind of shut down in March, and then gyms kind of opened up, I think it was in June. I remember people at the gym were like, why is it that you look so good? Like, why is it that you didn't gain any weight? I'm like, because I really took my health serious over these last many months. Good. I mean, I focused on my water intake. I focused on what I was eating. We were eating at home more. We weren't eating out. Alcohol consumption, like way down, like, not that my husband and I aren't big drinkers, but we love a glass of wine, with dinner every once in a while. But I just really took my health like to the next level. And I experimented with things and did different things like the detox baths and just kind of integrated a few more things into my life that just made me feel better. Like I love at night, just like getting ready for bed. And I love my nighttime routine. I love my morning and nighttime routine. There's like my two favorite parts of my day is getting ready in the morning and then getting ready to go to bed at night. So there was just so many, there's just so many takeaways. But again, business wise was more of the pivot, right? Learning to switch to move online. And, I built my business shoulder to shoulder, person to person, class to class. And then all of a sudden we had to kind of go, well, we can't do that right now. So I learned how to pivot and move things online. And we did that very successfully. And so, with my business still thriving, that it feels good because I put those things into place earlier on. So yeah, there's, definitely a weird year, but the silver lining was it definitely outweighed.
I would tend to agree. I want to talk for a minute about consistency. You have almost everything that we chatted about today has this underlying theme of consistency. Your success is linked to you being consistent. You just mentioned just now, you talked about how you love your morning routine and you love your evening routine. These have led you to be able to nurture your emotional well-being. They've increased your self-worth. They've, you might not even have considered this, or maybe you have. You are setting this beautiful example for your kids in doing all of these things with consistency. Is this the magic? Is this what has allowed you to continuously move into these successful, beautiful spaces in your life?
hmm well, it's one of my top 5 strengths, consistency. I'm
Not
very consistent.
surprised.
I think that wherever you show up in life, you want to be consistent. You want to be known to be trusted and to be someone that's always going to honor their word. And how to do that is being consistent, consistently showing up, consistently being on time. And yeah, I think that it's just that creating those habits and those rituals are so important, and sticking to them. Right. And I mean, a habit usually takes about 21 days to create. But it's about creating those. And one thing that I did, when you were saying about my kids and modeling this for my kids, I've already seen it in my children. And I see it in their routines. Like my daughter, her favorite routine at night is her skincare routine. She loves washing her face and using her face mask. And, and it kind of takes her like 15, 20 minutes, maybe an hour to do. Welcome to having a 13-year-old. But every morning she gets up and she makes her bed. Every morning she makes her bed. I don't have to tell her to make her bed. I don't have to tell her. She puts her own clothes away. She does not let me put her clothes away. Like what I saw with my kids when they moved online, was they have really good habits when it comes to being punctual and, creating like guys, school starts at 9:05. After a couple weeks, I did not have to say to them, get online, do this, do that, get dressed, have a shower. I never had to say boo to them. They created their schedules, right? Now, again, my kids are a little older. So those that are like younger, have younger kids that are listening to this, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But my kids are still pretty young, and kids at that age typically need a lot, like, especially with our generation now, they need a lot of coddling and they need a lot of, reminders. But if you teach them the importance of it, and then they see you modeling that, they're going to do the same. So I make my bed every day. I didn't have to tell Ivy to make her bed every day. She sees it because that's what we do. That's before we leave the house, beds are made. That's just the rule. So it's those little things that we start to see. But yeah, consistency is huge in all that you do, and how you show up in whatever business you have, whatever you do, be consistent, whether it's a new venture that you're starting. One thing that, I see as being a leader in running a successful business for 6 years, it's when people lose that consistency, they fall off. Mm-hmm. Right. But those that I see still continuing to share and post, they're consistent, and they're consistently enrolling and helping people and starting their leaders and their teams. So yeah, consistency is such an important, it's a part of the secret sauce, 100%.
It shows up in everything that you do. And you reference the idea that it creates trust. And I think that is definitely part of what is attracting people to the work that you do, whether it is in fitness, whether it's with the oils, whether it's, getting curious about your program, which I want to spend some more time on. I want you to share all the details of that, because that is certainly something that listeners will want to know more about so that they can participate in. But let's talk about where you're at in terms of success. When I speak of you, I would say Meghan has achieved success. And it's not that it has stopped. I mean, you're on this growth trajectory for sure. But I wonder, before you comment on the question, have you achieved success? Is there anything that you can identify looking back, not remorsefully or anything like that, but something that might stand out as a regret, something that you think to yourself, wow, if I had just been encouraged to do this, or if I had just been pushed a little bit more in this direction, I wonder what things would look like for me now. And I hope that doesn't sound like an off the wall question. It's really, I love knowing where people's minds go when they've achieved success, But even still, looking back, they wonder if that success could have been altered in some way if something had been different earlier in life.
Mm-hmm. That's such a great question. And, definitely, I mean, with my career, and being an entrepreneur, I didn't have to go to school to become go to school to become an entrepreneur. Like and there's certain things like traits and things like that. And when I did go to school for dental assisting, and that's, where I first kind of got in. But, I look back and there's one thing that, I wish that I wish I would have went to university. It sounds crazy. Like I never went to university. It was something that I didn't feel that it was for me because my parents never pushed it, and my dad, when he was in his 40s or late 30s, he went back to school. He went to Western University and he studied history. And so when I was in high school, I really thought of university students to be 30s and 40s, because that's when my dad went to university. He took a night course and got this degree in history or whatever. And but my parents never pushed it on me. And I mean, I'm not resentful with I love my parents. They're wonderful people, but I wish that they would have, pushed the education. And I think, you can take away a lot from a person, but you can't take away someone's education. And I look at my husband and how he went to university and his success that he's had from attending university. And it's just something that, as parents, we are really pushing with our children. They can do and become whatever they want in life, but we want them to have an education, because you can take that away from someone. And when you're highly educated, you have that opportunity to attend schools. Like Bill and I, we were in Boston years ago, and we were in this little shopping center, and I found this Harvard, this little tiny little Harvard University sweatshirt. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool? Because Boston's such a cool city. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if one of our kids went to Harvard? And so we ended up buying this Harvard sweatshirt. And Evie at the time was maybe 6 months old. And to this day, she still has it. And she says she's going to go to Harvard. Now, I'm not putting that pressure on my daughter. There is no pressure. I will support them wherever they're at and whatever their decisions are in life. But we are definitely, educating them on the importance of having an education and the importance of going to good university and, figuring out that's all part of life. And unfortunately, I never had that opportunity. And it's one thing that I kind of maybe one day I'll go back to one day I'll go to university and I'll study something. But it's just something that, and now again, coming back to your question on success, have I experienced success without going to university? Absolutely. I've experienced success in many areas of my life, whether it's, in the fitness industry, my essential oil business, being a mom, being a wife. I feel like there's been so many successful moments and things of success that I've achieved. Have I failed at many things? Absolutely. But it's all part of the journey to success is how many times have you failed? I failed a lot of times. I just never gave up. I just kept going. And so, I look at life right now and I don't look at this as, oh, I made it. I'm good. I've achieved success. I'm good to go. No, not at all. I'm on to the next venture. And not only that, but I'm continuing to nurture and grow what I've created in my business. I have many, many big goals to accomplish in that. But I also have other big goals I want to accomplish for myself in life as I approach my 40s. And so I just, I'm very goal driven. I find a goal and I'm like, I'm gonna go get it. And I go for it. And I have lots of stumbling blocks and I have lots of hurdles. But one of my favorite things is when there is a roadblock kind of thrown at me. It's not about how do I go around it? It's how do I smash through it? How do I really get through that roadblock or that hurdle to help me to achieve that success or help me to get to that next, that next thing that will help me to get to the next thing that helps me to get to the next thing. So, I think it's all part of life. We have to fall, we have to struggle, we have to have roadblocks, and that's how we achieve success. And it's all part of the process.
Oh, that's beautiful. I pictured you just now like the Hulk punching through through a wall.
I love it. Yeah.
Better skin tone for sure, but still punching through a wall. Is there, you mentioned a lot of goals, and I love the fact that you mentioned nurturing what you've already created, and that totally speaks to your skill of consistency. Um, and you also talked about, having all of these future goals kind of set for yourself. And I love that because it's such a motivating thing to be working towards what's next. Doesn't mean that you don't live in the moment. It just means that you're excited about what the future could bring. So is there something in those goals? Is there a goal in there that might surprise us? Like you've kind of captured for us a lot of your essence. Would there be a goal in there that would surprise us? Like, are you looking to learn to become like a guitarist or a
I mean,
world-renowned cross stitcher or something that would really like rock us?
well, nothing crazy, but I am taking a course right now on how to get on YouTube and provide a lot of value through that platform. And so that's something that I'm looking at right now. I think it's a great way to grow my audience and to really help people on a different level as well. And so that's kind of, and so now that I've put it out there, I'm like, I haven't really said anything to anyone. So it's just something that I'm kind of like, diving into and going to take on this platform of YouTube and provide free workouts and free inspiration and motivation.
Oh, that's
And
so awesome.
yeah, so it's just kind of, something to kind of, yeah, it's been a goal for me to jump on this platform and, but not just to do it and, get a few subscribers. Like I have some pretty big numbers of subscribers that I would love to
Yeah.
impact. So that's kind of the next kind of goal when it comes to like something that maybe might surprise people, but
Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful. I think that's fantastic. Okay, so that lies ahead for you. What else lies ahead for you? Why don't you tell us, like, as much as you want to reveal right now about your program? It's something that you dreamt up, you designed, and you have executed. Like, it is just, it's beautiful. And I think a lot of people are going to get curious about this and want to know how they can tap into this for themselves.
oh, I'm so obsessed with this program. I think it's, I'm a big believer in, we all need that accountability. And I think that, for me in the past, I've always worked with a coach. Like I didn't just create this physique. I've hired personal trainers and I've hired coaches that have helped train me for getting on stage in a bikini in front of a lineup of people. You can't just go wing that. You gotta hire the right people. And it's kind of like anything in life. You're having, if you're really stuck on your food, hire a nutritionist to help you with a meal plan. Or you're stuck with your workouts, hire a personal trainer, hire someone. And so I'm a big believer in having a coach of some sort to help you with achieving your goals. And, I've worked with many, many women throughout my journey, and I've kind of taken all these little nuggets and all these things that I've learned, and I've compiled it into my program. And it was like like this person was amazing, but I kind of lost out on this aspect of it. So we include that aspect. And, there's a lot on lifestyle, and it comes down to, my last 15 years of being in this industry. What are some of the things that I'm doing that are really help with my lifestyle and my mental health and my sleep? And so this program, it really tackles all three areas. It has a full recipe ebook of literally all the food that I eat, like more like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's all my recipes. I've literally typed out all of the recipes and the food that I eat. It has checklists because people love being able to document. I really encourage people to keep a journal of their workouts and their diets so that they have a really good idea, because that sometimes can be a struggle for people. And then we also have like the lifestyle portion, and we talk about supplements, and we talk about essential oils, and we talk about just creating habits and breaking bad habits and creating new healthy habits in our life. And so I named the program Own Your Health because I feel like we need to take ownership. We need to take back control. And I think that along the way, we've lost that. And so Yeah, I put the program together. I had for many years, I've had people ask me like, do you train? Do you offer programs? Do you offer coaching? Um, but I just was so focused on building my doTERRA business at the time, that this summer, it just, we weren't able to travel. We typically had degrees for the summers, but we weren't able to travel. So I had time to really, really put my thinking cap on and how I wanted to create something that was beautiful and that people were going to see results from and B, really fall in love with. And so we kicked it off in October and we had 34 women join the program. We had another program that launched in January. And again, like everyone, like people are seeing results and it makes me feel so good because obviously my biggest fear is like someone like, man, this didn't work for me. Right? Like you want people to be happy with the end result and you want people to not just go, okay, the 6 weeks are done. We want them to continue the lifestyle. Right. And so that's kind of what brought me to YouTube because so many people were like, well, we want to work out with you. Like, we love your program, but we want to work out with you. Don't just give us the workouts. We want to so it really encouraged me to create workouts that people can start to finish with me, and kind of tie it into the program as well. So that's kind of where that goal of the YouTube kind of came about.
I love that. And Meaghan, can you clarify for us the program Own Your Health? First of all, I love too that this feels like a tie back to the woman that you met when you first had your gym membership and you had asked her different things about her own commitment to fitness. And it almost feels like you're paying homage to that connection from so long ago. So the program is Own Your Health. Who specifically, is it for a specific type of person or can beginners, intermediates, advanced, can everyone partake in this?
It is for everyone. It is for everyone. And that's one thing, I don't ask anyone to weigh themselves or to take a before and after photo. Like it's literally, some women join it because they just want to have a better grasp on their lifestyle and they want to know, some women join it because they want to know what I eat. I had some women join it because they were just curious, like, how are you living your life? I've been following you and I want to know. And literally my life is in this program. Like I have even a structured, like what I do from when I get up to when I go to bed, like a full day of how my life runs. I had one woman that lost 26 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I had another woman just in the program we're going through right now. She's, down 5 pounds. And she's like, I got a goal of 10 and I'm already down 5. And, and again, it's not about the number, but it's about how you feel. And it's about taking that ownership. And so, it's really for anyone. And I give modifications if people don't and the workouts aren't super, super challenging. They're a lot of people think oh, in order to look like Meghan, you have to kill yourself with, cardio and you have to, no, devote 30 to 40 to maybe 60 minutes to movement, is really the key. And so I've put in there workouts and typically the workouts are about, I don't know, anywhere from 25 to 35, maybe 40 minutes max. So they're quick and they're easy and they are just getting the movement. They're getting the heart rate up. They're getting breaking a little bit of a sweat. And so it's really encouraging that movement. So they're not super duper challenging workouts, but they're workouts that you will see results with if you're consistent.
If you're consistent, yeah, that's your magic. That's your magic. Meaghan, would somebody who is interested in this program who doesn't have equipment at home, are they able to participate?
Absolutely. I've created all the workouts to be basically you could do it from home. There are some dumbbells that are required, but a lot of people can grab literally cans or bottles of wine and use those within their home. It's really about getting creative. Instead of having a bench, grab a chair, use your couch. You can do a push-up anywhere. You can do squats anywhere. Do you want to weight it? You can buy those little bands that can actually create resistance. So you can really work out from home very inexpensively. And all the workouts I created are really easy to do at home.
Okay. So that means all distractions, it sounds as though this program, Own Your Health, has truly eliminated all distractions for people, all of the obstacles that would cause someone to say, no, I can't do Meaghan's program because the workouts are too advanced for me, or I can't do Meaghan's workout because I don't have equipment in my home. You've literally kiboshed all of that because what you've designed is genuinely for every person, every woman in every situation, with complete access to your personal lifestyle routine. And you're right. I can imagine people want to know everything that you eat. I mean, you're a living example of what is possible when you dedicate time and effort to your physical wellness. And what a privilege to be able to have that as part of the package. How would someone get connected with the program?
So you can go to my website, so essentialjourney.co. It's right on there. There's a whole section on your health. It gives you all the information, and there's a place to purchase as well. I mean, we try to run them in, like, I'm trying to run it 4 times a year. My next one will be in May, because I would love to really help people to focus on feeling good for the summertime. So we'll kick that off in May. And so kind of starting to promote in April, but people can purchase it. If someone's super self-motivated, they can purchase the program. They get a weekly email from me talking about the theme of the week. We actually pick a theme each week, whether it's diet or lifestyle or motivation or your why, or, things like that. So it's not just like, oh, there's the program, what do I do with it? You have lots of support, and there's lots of personalized videos from me. There's a Facebook community that anyone that joins the program gets put into the community. So you get all those posts and all of those things throughout the community as well.
Yeah, and you get to feel surrounded by other like-minded people. I think that's beautiful. It's a great way for so many of us to be able to dive into something in times where we're not really certain how long or if the gyms. I know everything will open again, but you have to have this self-motivation to find a way to find your own wellness. And this program seems to deliver on all of those things. So, okay, so we know we can contact you through essentialjourney.co. Where else do you like to hang out? Where can someone follow along with you and get more time with you and find out more about you?
I think, I love hanging out on Instagram. I like doing stories. I like, posting on Instagram. So that's probably like my number one place I hang out. But obviously Facebook, Instagram, those are two of the main pages.
Gotcha. Okay. So Instagram, Facebook, website. You guys, there's lots of places to stay connected with Meaghan. And I know you're going to want to do that because she reveals so many beautiful aspects of living a very full and well life. So make sure that you check her out, most definitely. Meaghan, I'm going to wrap this up with one last question. And it's taking us back to this idea of what we learned from 2020. And if I can just find out from you, what has 2020 taught you to not take for granted? Maybe 2020 isn't responsible for teaching you this, but I would love to know what you just do not take for granted that maybe once upon a time you did.
Well, I mean, health has always been a huge part, but obviously, health and wellness. I think, we live in a society now too, where, gyms are closed and people are stress eating, drinking, and so health for me, I was actually at my chiropractor and she said that she's seen more people sick now than ever. And so it just kind of put my health into perspective, and I really don't take it for granted. And I never really have, but obviously my appendicitis scare definitely put that in perspective for me. But, obviously, treating my body like a temple and, taking good care of it. I love the opportunities and everything that I've gotten with my family, more family time. I'm not going to lie, like kind of not having to run out to soccer and gymnastics. And, we've learned to slow down and really focus on quality time and conversations and good conversations and dreams and things, that we might not have had the opportunity to really focus on, if we were in that hustle and bustle, like kind of life was before. And you think about how much we've slowed down, it's been kind of nice.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one for sure. Meaghan, you are just such a beautiful example of leadership in your home, in your business, in your life. And having you on today's episode has been just a true joy. I know our listeners will probably listen to this more than one time. They'll be reaching out to find out more about you. But on a personal level, I just want to say thanks for always being that consistent person who, even in times where I have felt like, maybe I wanted to let go of something, you showing up consistently was motivation for me to do the same. So it's that whole idea, by shining bright, you give permission to other people to do the same. So it is with so much gratitude that I thank you for being part of the program today. You are a joy in my life, and I'm so glad more people got a chance to learn a little bit about you today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode, friends. Thank you for hanging out with us here at the Planting Wildflowers podcast. We'll look forward to seeing you again real soon. And in the meantime, if you would be so kind as to rate, subscribe, and share this podcast with others, I'd be most grateful. We'll catch you again soon. Until then, take good care.